Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing all right, but I wish we were like on our pillows for real. You're
Yeah, I
not.
know, I know, I know. Yeah, sometimes we do pillow talk and we're not actually on our pillows, and so I don't know if I don't know if you call it table talk now or something, but this is us in our offices, and it's funny because we're actually in rooms right next to each other. So
This is
uh,
office
yeah, yeah, I guess it's office talk, water cooler talk. Maybe that's what we can call it.
water cooler talk. Yeah. And we
Yeah,
have a water
yeah.
cooler. We should just sit our chairs out there in the water cooler and
We
just
do have a water
drink
cooler.
water
We
and
legitimately do, and we drink a ton of water every day. And when we get up in the morning, first thing I do when I get up is start drinking water. But anyway, all right. So I want to welcome everybody and say hello to everyone that's joining us today. In case you don't know, Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins is where I get together with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia, and we talk about issues of the day. Just we try to have intelligent, fun conversations about things that Black people might be interested in. And I want to do a quick sound check. Can you let us know if you can hear us? Give us a quick yes if you can hear us. Okay, yes. Let us know if you can hear us. And also, I want you all to know that I am a finance PhD and a finance professor. My wife is a professor of social work and a licensed therapist. So we have some fun little debates about topics, things that relate to love and money, and just anything that makes us think. And so I want to say hello to Vita and let's see, Alleluia. Is that right? Big Bird. My name is Corey. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Na. Let's see, Chanel, Shakur, Michael McCurry. Good to see everybody. So good to see you. All right, so let's hop into the conversation as you hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that stuff. All right, so Michael Frederick says, "Think and go rich." That's right, brother. You got to think and you got to grow rich. All right, so here is what I wanted to talk about. So, did anybody see? Give me a yes or no. Did you see that Kamala Harris invited the cast from a different world to the White House? I'm gonna ask my wife. Did you see that, babe?
I saw it a few months ago. I think it's a good idea. That was a very good
It
idea.
wasn't a few months ago, though. It was like a few days ago.
A few days ago. I
Yeah,
saw it on my social media. Maybe they were promoting the idea and it actually happened a few days ago, but I remember seeing things online about them coming to the White House a while ago.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was so Kamala brought the cast of A Different World to the White House and they had they had a little powwow, I guess, and I think that it was related to the student loan stuff. I think that it was the student loan discussion that kind of led them to bring them in because, as you know, the Biden administration is talking a lot about student loans and student loan forgiveness. So they thought that bringing in the cast of A Different World would be kind of a cool way to celebrate that. And I'm gonna tell you, I love the cast from A Different World,
Yeah.
and I know you do too. I mean, how many of y'all? Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all watched A Different World when you were growing up? Did give me a yes. All the Different World fans, give me a yes in the chat if you grew up with that show and really liked it and enjoyed watching it and just had a lot of fun with it. I know I did. Were you inspired by that show,
Oh,
babe?
didn't miss an episode. Oh my goodness. I was in college. Weren't you in college too when the Different World was on? So that was a
Mhm.
beautiful thing to see and to witness. Shout out
Yeah,
to Bill Cosby for making this happen.
yeah, and you and I are friends with Daryl Bill. It's Daryl Bill. Daryl. Why
Dear
don't why
Bill. That's
I
his
keep.
name.
You know what? The reason I did not Daryl Bell. By the way, Daryl Bell played Ron. He played Ron, Dwayne Wayne's best friend. And I'm sorry, Daryl, if you're watching, brother. I apologize for getting your name wrong. The reason I felt like I said his name wrong is because there was a great attorney at Harvard Law School named Derek Bell. Derek Bell, the creator of critical race theory, actually.
Oh yes.
Yes,
Oh,
like
I use all of his stuff in my diversity practice class. Oh
did I
yes.
did I ever tell you I talked to Derek Bell one time when I was teaching at Syracuse?
Really? I would love to
Yeah.
speak with him.
Yeah, I was on. I have no idea why we were on the phone together, but we talked and I liked him. And that's all. At that time, I didn't know how big critical race theory was. I just knew he was a Harvard professor and I respected that. And another great one there was Charles Ogletree. Charles and I, we both spoke at the National Black Law Student Association conference. We were the two keynotes, and it was in Detroit in 2006, right before Kwame Kilpatrick got like popped up and.
This is
Oh,
so crazy. 2006.
yeah,
Yeah, I hung out with Kwame Kilpatrick at the FAMU homecoming because I was living in Tallahassee at the time. Small
that's so
world,
crazy.
Boyce. Isn't it a small world?
Well, it's not a small world. It's a
It's
different
a
world.
different world.
It's a different world. Anyway, all right. I know my parents. Every time I think of this, I want to start singing that song. I know my parents love me. Stand behind me, come one day. Ooh, that was a great song, and you hear it. It's almost like that song from the Jeffersons. Remember? Nobody knew the words, but it's like, did do
Leave
down
it
in the
down in the
kitchen,
kitchen.
a being down burned on the grill.
Oh,
Take that whole. I think black people. I'm gonna tell you. Here's what I think. I think black people. We're gonna get to the topic in a minute, but I
we
feel like
make TV better.
we make the best theme songs. Good times, anytime you need a payment. Good times, anytime you need a friend. Like I feel like we are just like every song that has been made for TV shows. When we sing it, we blow it out. When they do it, you get like I don't know. Well, the best white song theme song I've ever heard was "Wouldn't You Like to Get Away? Sometimes you
Cheers.
want to go where everybody knows your name." That was a good one. And
I
then,
like
but then,
Family Ties. Family Ties. That's a black person singing Family Ties.
oh yeah, what was that? You got to help me know the words now.
What, Family Ties?
Yes.
Do, mm, do, do,
It was
mm,
something
mm,
about family,
mm.
and it made you feel really good. And then the only other song, and then I promise we're gonna get back to the topic.
Okay.
And the only other song that I thought was cool was Frasier when he was sounding like a black man. Baby, I hear the birds are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Anyway,
And
so
the Golden Girls, you can't forget the Golden
mm,
Girls. Thank
okay,
you
there we
for
go.
being a friend.
That's okay, okay. So they do have a few good songs. All right, I think we're the best ones. But anyway, so here's what. So let's get back to all right. So different world. They visit Kamala Harris in the White House, and it was interesting because I was really curious to see how people felt about this visit because you know how the Democrats do. They tend to show up and get extra black when it's election season, and they sort of disappear when for the other 3.6 years. But the last few months they pop up and they start doing all this black stuff, and I think black people kind of know what's going on. They kind of hip to the game. So I went to Kamala's page, and so Kamala has the video, and it's really, oh sorry, it's real. Oh, let me turn this off because if I play the theme song, they'll give me a strike on YouTube. But anyway, so the interesting thing was a lot of the comments were very negative. A lot of the comments were very. I mean, people were not generally very. They were just generally not very supportive of what happened here. Like not because they don't love the cast of Different World. I think they seem to feel manipulated.
Oh, the
You know,
timing of it all. I mean, they got to pull out all the stops now. This is some serious stuff.
yeah, almost like one of those things where it's like, okay, here you go, doing what you do in every election, where you get extra black, and then after the election's over, we don't hear from you again.
Ignore them.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm looking for the comments. I actually lost the freaking page. I had it on. I had it up on my
No,
phone, queued up, and I want to read some of the comments. And once I find it, I'll read them. But
it's
but
on
generally speaking,
Instagram, right?
yeah. So
Instagram will
what
do
what
that to you.
basically happened was, so Kamala had them all in, and it was pretty beautiful in the sense that you love the cast, you love the show, they deserve to be invited. They all seem to be very very nice people, and people were very supportive of the cast. But I think that they felt that Kamala was sort of using this HBCU thing to
Yeah.
pander to the black vote, and Kamala actually went to an HBCU, and people still almost act like she's faking it, right? Because she married Dougie. Dougie's not a black man, and also Kamala. Unfortunately, the Democrats have a reputation of really pandering to the black community right before election season. What do you think about that, babe?
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. Different world casts have been unemployed. Well, some of them have been employed, but a lot of them have been unemployed for many, many years. And now that it's a couple of months here before pretty soon we got the DNC convention, and then we have the election coming up. And I think this whole thing with Trump is scaring people because he has a lot of attention. And so they're pulling out all the stops. And I'm sure it's a strategy meeting. They're sitting around at this table trying to get black people on board. And we have snuffed it out. And I want to hear
Yeah,
the comments. Bring the comments up, boys.
yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is I'm looking at the page, and basically what she did was they first they just bought the cast in and kind of did their thing, and then a lot of the comments were very much basically accusing them of pandering to the black community and kind of saying, "Oh, you want to be black now," that kind of thing, and really kind of accusing them of manipulating black people emotionally, which I think that we are really we're really vulnerable to a lot of emotional manipulation. I think that the show A Different World, it's interesting that we're so emotionally attached to things that don't even belong to us. A Different
Yeah.
World, even the show, the brands, the characters, you know, all those trademarks and copyrights connected to that show belong to, I think, Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that we sort of look at that show and we say, okay, that's a black show or that's our show, that right there kind of speaks to this odd idea that maybe perhaps we have to really rethink what ownership really means. Like, how do you really claim something that isn't actually yours? You know, it's like if I date you or marry you and I think that your body is my body and I own you, that's not a healthy way to think about it, I guess. And I almost feel like it's the same way when it comes to television. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking to Daryl Bell, we were the first question out of our mouth was what? Where's the Different World reboot?
Yeah.
What's going on with the reboot? No, they're going to do a reboot of Good Times where they're living in the projects. They're going to
Good
glorify
times,
that whole thing.
anytime you need a payment. Sorry, they like those black struggle shows, don't they?
The struggle shows, but they're not going to do something like, and then you can't reboot. You can't reboot the Cosby Show because it's so tainted at this point. So I
You
mean,
know what?
Different World was
It
the
ain't tainted. It ain't tainted for me.
well, it's tainted for a lot of people though. A lot of people do
Yeah,
have
it ain't
issues
tainted for me
with Bill
because you know
Cosby.
what?
Mhm.
Maybe Bill Cosby did some stuff. Maybe he didn't. But
But
y'all
his
got to
legacy
remember
is over. His legacy, sorry, boys. I'm not saying I
his
agree with
legacy.
it.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, babe. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not saying that I agree with it, but his legacy, I mean, he was on the top. He was the best of the best, and now he is on the bottom of the bottom. I think he is, poor thing. He's blind. He's really getting up there in years. Looks like his health is failing him, and I wish him the best, but it does not seem like he is able to save his legacy. And, Different World, maybe visiting the White House, maybe they can get their own reboot. Maybe they can take this as an opportunity to really put some positive images out there of Black people. Maybe we as Black people can start a campaign. Let's do a reboot of A Different World. That would be pretty awesome to see, because we know the effect that it has on your subconscious. I mean, when The Different World was happening, enrollment of Black people at HBCUs and in college in general was the highest it had ever been with that one TV show. It works, boys. Media works. It definitely programs you.
Well, what's interesting is that the comments that I saw relative to Kamala, sort of showing off the cast of A Different World to get votes, there were people in there that went out of their way to say, by the way, we should thank Dr. Cosby and Dr. Alvin Poussaint for creating this show.
And Dr.
And
Comer.
more than one person said that. More than one person stepped into the comments, and most of the comments were very negative toward the use of this imagery. It's like okay, you want to use Cosby's creation to get these votes, but then at the same time, you've kind of taken this guy that maybe he earned some of this. I'm not going to excuse his his alleged behavior, but you're going to sort of say we don't want anything to do with him, but we're going to take what he created and use that. And I personally think that's a little bit disingenuous. I think it's I think that you can still enjoy the Cosby Show. In fact, let me ask everybody, give me a yes or no. How many of you still watch the Cosby Show and enjoy watching it? Like, if you saw it on TV right now, how many of you would give me a yes if you would watch it and enjoy it? Or how many of you would just turn it off because you're so appalled by his presence on television? Answer me in the chat. Also, as you hit the thumbs up button, I want to remind everybody you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia. And by the way, if you want to know where my wife does her thing, you can actually go to her website, which she sees clients on an individual basis, couples and families. So you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. Okay. So yeah, I see my name is Corey says I still watch it unapologetically. Ryan Turner says yes. Terry Silver, yes. I'm looking for a no. I don't see any no's. There's no no's. So what's interesting is when you talk about Cosby's legacy, I think about that and what that means. I'm going to say something that is going to sound a little strange. I don't think his legacy is ruined at all. I think that his legacy in the black community, his legacy is very strong. Now, mind you, people might still think that he's a pervert, that he did some stuff he shouldn't have done. But most black people, if I did a poll and said, do you still admire some of Bill Cosby's achievements? A lot of black people are going to say, hell yeah. You know, he created a different world. He created educational shows. He created Fat Albert. He gave all that money to the HBCUs. He gave money to HBCUs when all these celebrities out here just talk a big game and don't ever follow through. They don't. And so I'm not saying that this means Cosby's a good guy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it sounds to me like just like any other person that we consider to be a hero or a legend, just like every slave master who raped slaves for a living, or just like every racist that's been in the White House, maybe his legacy's just mixed. Maybe that's what it may. Again, maybe among white people now, his legacy's gone. But I personally think that's a fragile legacy to begin with. I think that if you are a black man and you have a good reputation amongst melanin deficient people in America, you're always at risk. You're always in danger. You're one bad Rolling Stone, New York Times article away from having everything you work for destroyed in front of you. So I personally think, based on what I just saw in the chat, to the people that matter to me, y'all matter to me. They don't matter to me, but the people that matter to me still love Cosby. They love Different World. They see nuance. What do you think about that?
Okay, so I got two things to say. Number one, I think everybody out here needs to sit down with your family right now, starting today, and start watching every single episode of The Cosby Show, starting from episode 1 all the way to the final episode. And then when you're done, go on to The Different World and start watching that together as a family, because it is priceless piece of art. Okay, just want to say that. Now, yes, we know the contributions that Bill Cosby has made to television and to Black people in general, but we also know that he fell flat on his face. He went to prison. Seemed like any and everybody who was around him in that time started hollering and got on the bandwagon. I'm talking about subconsciously. We saw him fall, and his legacy in general, his legacy in general has been tarnished. He fell from grace. He was voted, I believe at the time, he was voted the #1 TV dad from what was it called? TV Guide voted him. That means he beat out all the other white fathers that we saw on TV. He beat all of them out. He was the #1 TV dad. He cut across everything. And I think with Bill Cosby, I think he knew the impact of his work. He knew the impact of the Cosby Show, and he was a little upset with what happened after the Cosby Show. Because remember, the Cosby Show was like a seminal piece where we can say, look, Black people can name their children Theodore Huxtable. What was his middle name? Theodore. I mean, come on. That's so, it's a little elitist in a way, right? To have a doctor and a lawyer and to show all of that. He thought that the rest of the Black TV shows would follow suit, and it did not. You know, what happened after the Cosby Show met its success, the subsequent shows behind it was, you know, back on a little bit of buffoonery again. And I think Cosby became very upset with what Black people were doing. And he felt that we needed to carry ourselves a certain way. So it was this inner battle. And I think, you know, that made him, he became a little cynical when you listen to his speech. And then he gave that speech. Do we want to talk about that speech he gave? The famous speech. What's it called? The pound cake speech. Come on.
Yeah.
The
Well,
pounding speech.
remember
That's
the
sad.
90s?
That's a
You
very
talking
sad
about,
speech he gave.
you know, when you were talking about the buffoony shows in the 90s. I think the epitome of that was Homeboys from Outer Space. Remember that? And was Daryl in Homeboys from Outer Space, or am I just making that up in my head?
And that's another thing, because they used the characters from the Cosby Show to put out, because he was very upset because Lisa Bonet did, what movie was that where he played? She was sleeping with the devil. What movie was this?
She had sex with the devil or something crazy like that.
The devil. He was livid because that's his daughter. You know, subconsciously, that's his daughter that just got turned out.
Wow. Now, was Daryl in Homeboys from Outer Space?
I don't know. Somebody will look it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, so you are right. Now, yeah, Daryl was in that. Yeah, with Flex. Isn't that funny that Flex Alexander and Daryl Bell? Mind you, you know that Flex and Shanice are friends of ours, right? Flex hit me up on Instagram back before they took down my Instagram. I had a page. I knew I would get. I kid you not, in my inbox, I would get messages from. I keep calling him Theodore Huxtable, but that's not his real name. His real name is Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Who is,
by the way, a very cool dude. And me and Malcolm would talk extensively. And I love talking to Malcolm because he's a smart guy, and he would hear me say things about politics that would shock some people because I say what's on my mind. And he would, instead of saying, "Oh, that's stupid" or "That's crazy," he would say, "Can you explain that further? I'd like to understand that." And that's all. I think that's it. I think that's all anybody wants is like, can we just hear each other? You know, like maybe I'm saying something that's going to shock you a little bit, but I'm not a stupid man. I thought this through. So yeah. But then Flex out of the blue was messaging me because I think he does comedy shows or something. And he was like, "Yeah, you should come to my show when I come to Chicago." I was like, "Cool." And then Daryl Bell, you know, who is a great guy, super smart. And Daryl kind of helped us understand the limitations of what they can and can't do. I was shocked, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I think it's public knowledge, but I was really shocked when I found out how much of a grip Warner Brothers has on the show. How they literally got a trademark or a copyright or something on Whitley's accent. Like Jasmine Guy
she cannot speak in that accent. Her accent was copyrighted. So
that's insane.
For her to use the accent that she came up with, she'd have to get permission and pay somebody if they'll give it to her. She'd have to do that. So she has to speak in a different voice. What you gonna say?
No. I think that's interesting, right? And that really gets into, I think, the difference in terms of how Black people. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, that gets into the difference in terms of how Black people and non-Black people view ownership and entertainment, right? I think that when it comes to entertainment, we tend to think about trying to get on the stage. We want to be seen. We want to sign the deal and be the entertainer and get all the attention and the fame.
This is so hard, boys.
Right. We do. Well, we do. But here's what's interesting, right? The people that are in other communities who see the talent that our people have, they're not thinking about getting on the stage. They want to own the stage. They want to be behind the stage. They want to put $1 billion into the distribution of the images that are on the stage. They want to get the trademarks, copyrights, patents, whatever related to whatever's being created through entertainment. So when we saw hip hop, we saw, if you use hip hop as an example, we saw hip hop as creativity and a party and fun and everything else. They saw that as a business, and I think that so all these copyrights and everything on these shows that we consider to be Black shows pretty much means that others have monetized Black attention. And we've provided that willingly. We're not getting money from this. We're not making the revenue from this, but they are. And they're thinking, okay, what's the next big thing we can use to monetize the attention that we can get from the Black community? Oh, that's right. Let's create a movie called Black Panther. And it'll become a thing, and black people will show up wearing their Black Panther costumes, and it'll become a must see TV for every person in the Black community.
And at the end of the movie, I want to jump in. At the end of the movie, a Black woman is going to save the colonizers. Is going to join in and help and save them from everything. After talking about them all throughout the movie, you're going to join with them in their council. You're going to bring them into the fold. So
That's heavy.
strong Black people, again, it's another representation of we are serving them. That's what
By
the
the
Black
way,
Panther was. Mm-hmm.
guess what? I found the the comments under the
Oh,
Kamala Harris post.
okay. What did you say?
So I'm gonna read that in a minute. But before I do that, if y'all could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. I'm a finance professor. My wife is she's a full professor of social work, not just a professor, a full professor. I got to give this Black woman her props. And also, she is a licensed therapist. And so her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. If you'd like to get some free resources from Dr. Alicia on healthy relationships, things like that, and a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, you can just text the word love, pull out your phone, text the word love to 87948. And that will also allow us to remain connected and break away from these YouTube algorithms and all that. And we are on Spotify. If you look up my name on Spotify, you'll find us there. But we want to be able to connect with you directly because, as you know, sometimes these paid platforms just disappear, and we don't want that to happen. So if you pull out your phone and text the word love to 87948, you'll get stuff from us, and it will enhance your life. If it doesn't, then that's okay. You can just walk away, but we'd love to make your life better. All right, so let's I'm going to read the comments. So Kamala Harris brought the cast of Different World to the White House, and she was using that to promote the Biden administration's initiatives on student loans. And so I'm gonna just read the comments straight down. Okay, so there is okay. So the first comment isn't so bad. It's from a retired doctor named Negro Damas.
That's a great name.
He says, I'm a retired doctor. Y'all need to start doing more TikTok because of the influence it has on young minds. They do not get info from CNN and Instagram. My young niece did not know of the Biden's awesome accomplishments because she gets her news from TikTok. So sad. Okay, that's not bad. But then the next person says that they effed up their show by having Kamala in the video. Like, it was a great video until Kamala appeared. The next person, B. Irvin, says, "Oh, it must be time to get the Black vote." Let's see. Another one says, "Cree Summer hasn't aged today." She hasn't. She really
has not. Well, she's on Abbott Elementary. She did a cameo on Abbott Elementary.
Oh, that's awesome. And then the next comment, I Am Dream Jules, says, "It's election year, so she's Black again." Kamala, they didn't call her Chameleonaire because Kamala Chameleonaire, she tends to like sort of change races, like depending on where she's at. So sometimes she's Indian, sometimes she's Black, sometimes she's a white woman. That's pretty impressive.
But there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing on TikTok about they've been monitoring her silk press. They said she get her silk presses done, and all she do is get silk press and laugh. And I was like, you know what? If I was ever vice president, that's what I would do. I'd have a fresh silk press every time you saw me. I'd be laughing and giggling because it is nothing. It's just wonderful being the vice president. It's not much on you when you're the vice president.
I don't know about that.
All you do is just hold up whatever the president says. You just like all you do is listen to what the president says, and then you just say it in your own words. You can put the president's speech into AI, Chat GPT, and just create yet another copy of his speech, and that's it. Vice president. At least that's what I see. So what he said. I don't hate it.
Okay, so here's another one. Someone says the VP ain't FBA. FBA stands for Foundational Black American, which is interesting because they rarely put a Black person in that high of an office who is just standard African American descendant of slavery.
They have to show allegiance. They have to show allegiance to them.
Yeah, or maybe you have the white spouse. The white spouse is another.
Allegiance to them.
Yeah, I think the white spouse is another signal that you are a little bit safer. And in addition to that, if one of your parents is from another country, like Ketanji Brown Jackson had the white spouse, also her family's not African American. So really, I think it is important, when we're looking at so-called Black faces in high places, I think that it is okay to make a distinction between those who are African American and those who are just Black. What do you think?
Know what just occurred to me?
What?
Isn't that what we saw in the Black Panther? Because it really wasn't African Americans that helped the white people out. It was the other Black folks who helped them out. It was the people in Wakanda, where the African Americans were kind of just like playing basketball and doing treacherous things. Because remember, Killmonger, is that his name? Killmonger? I can't get,
Killmonger.
you know how I feel. Killmonger represented African Americans. And his role, he was so demonized in his role. He wasn't helping out. So that's what we are. We're part of the Killmonger group. And I think that the other group, the Wakanda group, who eventually came in with their accents, because I let you know that they're not here. Those were the people that helped out. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing selected Black faces just so that we can have an avenue to cultivate their agenda, to further their own agenda. It ain't just all Black people. It's this select group of Black people who are furthering their cause, and they're not African Americans.
Well, the way I kind of look at that too, what I kind of see with Killmonger versus the Black Panther kind of thing, and you are 100% right about that, is that there is, I think there's this belief that African Americans are these flawed, damaged people, and that the best thing, in the tradition of racist white paternalism, the best thing they can do for us is to teach us how to be a little more civilized and how to put the past behind us, right? So, in what's interesting is that even this week I saw Nick Cannon, who was humiliated pretty badly, unfortunately, by the people that kind of run Hollywood. I saw him do an interview, and he was kind of saying, we have to get past this whole blame the white man thing. And I felt like, and I don't disagree, right?
Hold on, wait.
Nick Cannon said, but don't get me wrong, it wasn't a bad interview. I don't think Nick's a bad guy. I spent about an hour on the phone with Nick's father. I can learn a lot by listening to how your father talks, and I liked his dad, and I liked Nick. But unfortunately, Nick well, the hard part is that Nick was the wrong guy to deliver that message because unfortunately Nick is a little bit incarcerated. He's in this space where he's making lots of money playing these roles, on these goofy shows, and
it's a
just sort of
stereotype.
Yeah, but then on top of that, though, it's like he was humiliated. Like, they really, when he did that interview with Professor Griff, where they got into this conversation about who the original Jews are, which is apparently, that's just a conversation you're not allowed to have if you're from Hollywood. You're not even allowed to ask the question. Like, remember Kyrie Irving, he just literally retweeted somebody asking the question. They punished Kyrie in the same tradition that they punished Nick. And it's kind of like sort of saying, like, look, you need to remember who's boss. So Nick submitted to that. Nick apologized repeatedly over and over again.
He's got child support payments.
Well, he does.
He's got child support payments. That's real talk right there.
That's so true. I mean, I guess a lot of people would apologize to pay their child support.
He's got to survive. He's got to survive in this world.
Nick's gonna have to work till he's 112 because he got about 8,000.
Never stop. Ain't never gonna stop.
That man got a big family. Anyway, though, but the thing was that I felt like Nick was not the right guy to deliver that particular message about what African Americans need to do, because he's speaking from a position of what appears to be some type of servitude or something where he has to be committed to something. And so anyway, so going back though, let's go back to the whole Killmonger thing. I think with Killmonger, you're right. It does represent sort of this idea that African Americans need to get over it, that we are damaged and that we behave this way because we have refused to get over the fact that we are hurt by what others have done to us and what we do to each other. And so the idea that Killmonger was presented as the bad guy and that the Africans were presented as the good guys, and the so-called good guys end up saving the white guy.
Loyalty. Yeah.
I think there's a real message in that.
Yeah, and if you look at Black Panther 2, if we want to get into the second one, everything was, I mean, okay, I love the rise of the Black woman, but it was the rise of the Black woman to yet again save white people. And that's always been our job, is to be in this servitude role. Come on. Boy,
remember the end of the Harriet Tubman movie?
Oh, God. Shoot the man. Well, why wouldn't she shoot him at the end? I was like,
where Harriet. Think about this. In the Harriet Tubman movie, the only person Harriet actually killed, and remember, Harriet was known for carrying the shotgun and taking people out.
Come on.
The only person Harriet killed was a black man.
Was
She
he?
didn't
She
kill.
shot her. I mean, she had her gun at the white guy, and then instead of shooting, she made this stupid speech about it ain't right to enslave somebody.
Right.
I was
You
like,
ain't
what
supposed
is
to. You
this?
ain't supposed to enslave
You ain't
people.
supposed to. Like, this is the dumbest. Who are these writers? This is the dumbest. That's the. I could not, as an actress, I'd be done. I'm like, this has got to change. Never
well,
make it.
well, the Harriet Tubman movie was just interesting because you could see where the writers of this film created characters specifically to pursue their agenda, right? There were two characters that we know were fictional, that we know did not exist, and that
The
was
gay man.
well, there we go. I forgot about
The
this. So
gay
that makes it
agenda.
three.
It's an
That makes
agenda.
it three.
Hold
Right. So there
on.
was there
This
was the
is
gay guy, and remember though. Hold on, but then there was the woman where Harry Tubman had a scene that was like a woman to woman kind of
yep.
intimate scene, and
Yep.
then there was the big angry dark black man who ends up killing the black woman. And I said, this is so crazy.
Come
They
on.
literally in the middle of this film that's supposed to be kind of historically accurate. They create black characters that fit their agendas,
Their
and they
agenda.
make the black man the most evil person in the movie when you've got slave masters sitting on the other side who don't even get punished for what they did.
Not one slave master died in that whole film. You trying to tell me? Come on, not one slave master. And this ain't no hate for LGBT, for the LGBT group. This is their month, and I applaud that, because I think that that's a good thing that they have their month. By the way, boys,
Of course,
I just want to say that. But there is an agenda there, and that was the agenda. It's to feminize black men.
That's all right. Well,
go ahead.
All right. Well, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. And if y'all could please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, you look up my name, Boyce Watkins, you can find us there. Also, Dr. Alicia, she sees clients on an individual basis, on a family basis. She sees couples as well. So if you're interested, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. And she has workbooks on things like financial anxiety, stuff like that. I have a new book out called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's a bestseller on Amazon. So if you'd like to take a look at any of those books, feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. And if you go to drboycebooks.com, you can use the code word book club, all one word, and get 30% off anything in the store. So feel free to go in there and fulfill your educational needs. I believe deeply, and I think my wife agrees, that we should educate ourselves and each other. I don't necessarily know if the system is doing its job. So anyway, so we were talking about Kamala Harris bringing in the cast of A Different World to the White House, and she got really hammered by this. And I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to read more of the comments, baby. You want to hear some more of the comments that people made?
I do.
Yeah, because the internet's hilarious, and
and
they pretty much
funny ones.
Yeah, they pretty much went off on her. Okay, so here's some more. Someone said, you're like the special character that comes on 2 times a year on a TV show. Yeah, so
a cameo. You just make a cameo appearance. We don't really, we're not really interested in it. Just a cameo appearance. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess they're saying Kamala only pops up a couple times a year. And then let's see, there's another comment here that says the pandering is sickening. The next comment from Paris Unique Cakes says, girl, you've been hiding. Now you pop out with this. You put too much effort into this when you should have been trying to put out this effort into the United States. Great. This isn't good enough. You still don't have my vote. Another comment is the next one is this supposed to be black voter outreach? No policy, just entertainment and nostalgia. So it sounds to me like there are people who are sort of they sort of see the black community, in my view, almost like a community full of children that want to be entertained, right? And so instead of giving them actual policy or giving them something that we can really sink our teeth into, a conversation about reparations, things like that, it's like, no, let's bring the cast of A Different World and connect them, co-brand them with Kamala, and then make everyone feel like this is important. And I'm gonna tell you that in the comments, it's almost like a revolt. And I'm literally reading straight down the comments. Another one says, child, this is comment after comment. It's not like there's good comments in the middle of the bad. Like all of them were pretty bad. The next one says, child, ain't nobody seen her in 4 years. And she pop back out with that HBCU shit. Nah, I'm good. And the next one says, pandering and planning all of what not to do for black people. The next comment says, Oh, let's see. The next comment is, it's so weird how Kamala remembers she's black only during election years. Let's see. Another one says, let's give Mr. Cosby his flowers for creating this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you, I think that was a pretty heavy comment. Now, Cosby, we talked about him earlier. How did you feel the night? Remember, you know what's funny? This is where I tell you that I don't
Oh
think.
God.
Well, let me just say this. I don't think that Cosby's whole reputation is gone. I think that there are pockets of society. See, what happens is we don't think that we matter. We don't think that our opinion matters. Like, and I think our opinion is the only opinion that matters in certain situations. So I'm gonna tell you, when I asked earlier, I said, how many of you still have, some sort of favorable opinion or respect for Cosby? Most of you said yes. It doesn't mean that you think he's a great guy. You don't think he's perfect, but remember that night when you and I talked to Cosby for just a few minutes. I guess he wanted to reach out and thank us because I don't know what he was thanking me for, because I didn't defend him. I just said he deserved a fair trial. I think that he was kind of railroaded a little bit because they literally broke the law to incarcerate him. So anyway, we were on the phone and our mothers got so excited.
They were
Like when he called, like my mama and your mama both asked to be on three-way when
They
he
was
called.
giggling like little teenagers. I was like,
They
it's a good
really
thing you didn't
were.
see my mama during that time.
They really were. Your mama was excited. My mama was excited, and they didn't give a damn. Like they just kind of. I think that women of that generation, like the old school women, and shout out to Felicia Rashad as well. I think the old school women, they kind of see the nuance of it. They don't forgive the men when they misbehave, but they do kind of say, we know what the real deal is. Like we know what was going on in Hollywood. We know about, some of the stuff that they won't talk about in the media, where maybe it's not as clear cut as people want to make it out to be. We know why y'all was all kicking it in the Playboy Mansion. Right. Instead of making it like, the black man was there
because for a reason.
Right. Like the black man's there because he wants to be a predator. The white woman she was on her way to the grocery store and the black man kidnapped her and took her to the Playboy Mansion. No, y'all was all up in there because y'all were doing some dirty stuff. Right. And I think it doesn't mean Cosby
back then.
Right. It doesn't mean that anybody thinks Cosby is innocent or that he didn't do some things he should be ashamed of. It just means like, come on now, y'all trying to isolate him as the only person. It's like he was the only person that did dirt in the 60s. And we know that that's not true. Remember the driver? I want you to talk about this because I've talked too much. But remember that time? I want you to describe to everybody, babe. That night, you and I were in Los Angeles, and we rode. We had a driver who drove for Hugh Hefner for a bunch of years. His name was David. He was a white guy. And he gave us his opinion of what all the things he saw. He said, I didn't just know Hugh very well. I knew Bill Cosby very well. And he knew the women that were in the documentaries. What did he say? Go ahead, please.
He said, I've seen things and heard of things that would make Bill Cosby look like a saint. He said it's mild in comparison to what was happening in the Playboy Mansion back then. And everybody knew it. Everybody knew what was going on. When you went to the Playboy Mansion, this was going down. Like everybody knew what it was about, which is exactly what our mom said. Our mom said, why would you be there? Everybody understands what it was. Why were you there? So it's not like it was a mystery. You just kind of fell into this situation. It's like they were capitalizing off of this situation. They saw him kind of fall down, and then everybody got on a bandwagon so that they can get that money. They were looking for that paycheck. Yeah, and this is terrible because there are real cases of assault against women that we do need to acknowledge, because the Me Too movement in a lot of different ways is shed light on actual situations where women were taken advantage of. So I definitely don't want to sound as if women are just out for money. But I think in that scenario, it was kind of overdone. But I will tell you this, during that time when Bill Cosby was on trial, I was teaching a class to white suburban women about race issues. And all of them said, oh, this is nothing but racism. Every single one of them. There wasn't it could be skewed a little bit because these are like different type of white people. But even they were thinking, isn't this amazing? You know, that they would actually bring down Bill Cosby and everybody else is not going down with him. All the other people that were doing it, it's nothing but racism. And I didn't say anything. I just stood in the middle of the classroom and they all talked about how the Me Too movement was weaponized against Black men.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So they ain't got us all fooled. Mm-hmm.
well, let's think about it like this. I'm going to say something and I'm going to question my own statement because it just came to mind and I'm throwing it out there for us to process this because I want to encourage all of us to just be thinkers. I think it's possible that there's a big overlap in terms of who Hugh Hefner was, who Jeffrey Epstein was, who Bill Cosby is, and who Diddy is. Like, I think Diddy, Cosby, Epstein, and Hefner all had a lot in common. I think Diddy, Cosby, Epstein, and Hefner could have all partied together. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. It's possible.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party.
Right. So you saw. So
Yeah.
Epstein got it. He got. He paid the price for his behavior. And really, I think that there's even something deeper and more sinister going on. Right. Not to feed. And I see. Yeah, the name Weinstein. Maybe that's another name to throw in there as well. And here you're talking about men who were all invited into the most privileged circles. You know,
Hugh Hefner is glorified. I mean, Hugh Hefner is glorified. I mean, they've done specials on him. He got roasted. Like they have treated him like a saint. And it wasn't until he died. It wasn't until Hugh Hefner passed away that now all of a sudden this Me Too movement is now being seen.
Oh, and another name I would throw in there might even be R. Kelly.
I think R. Kelly is something different.
Really? Okay.
I don't think we can really compare R. Kelly to Bill Cosby necessarily, because that's just a whole different thing that's happening. I think, R. Kelly is a tough one to defend.
I'm not defending any of them. I'm not. No. Let's just be clear. I'm not here to defend. Yeah, I'm not here to defend any of them. What I am here to talk about is the compare and contrast. And I want to ask y'all, give me a yes or no. Let's go back. Let's rewind the clock. Let's go back to 1998. And let's write down all these names. This is a thought experiment. I want everybody to go with me on this if you can. So what names we mentioned? Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Hefner, Weinstein, and Epstein. So we got two Steens, a Hef, a Cosby, a Kelly, and a Diddy. So Kelly and Diddy are two entertainers, a rapper and a singer. Cosby and Hef are two OGs. These are guys that have been around for a while. And then you got the two Steens, right? So who are in a whole different community in terms of controlling, Hollywood or access or wealth, right? Could you all imagine a party in 1998 where at least 4 out of 6 of these men were at the same party? Could you imagine a party where Diddy is there, R. Kelly is there, maybe Weinstein or Epstein is there, and it's at Hugh Hefner's house?
Maybe during the time, remember he had the theme song to the Olympics? Wasn't he like, I believe he had a theme song to the Olympics.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Okay, so here we go, right? So can you imagine, like, let's say we rewound the clock 25 years. I can imagine Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Weinstein, and Epstein all partying at the Playboy Mansion. Can y'all imagine this? Is that something that you think would have been possible in 1998? Give me a yes or no. I think it's possible. And here's the thing. This is what's just so interesting to me about this is that I see a lot of overlap in those guys in the sense that they were celebrated at one point. You know, I still remember when the guy from Vlad TV, Vlad, called me to warn me about being friends with Damon Dash because he said Dame cussed out Harvey Weinstein in public, and you just don't do that because Weinstein. I said, well, who the hell's Harvey Weinstein? I don't know this guy. He said, oh, he's one of the most important people in Hollywood. I remember that conversation, and I was like, oh, that's a big deal. And Dame cussed him out because Dame saw what Weinstein was doing with women, and he didn't care. He just cussed him out in public or whatever. But my point is to say that, it's interesting to me that all these guys were celebrated in the 90s, and then after 2000, their activities became unearthed because the world changed. And again, I'm not here to defend any of these guys, but here's the point I want to make on this too, though. All these men were readily accepted by everybody all the way to the top, from Oprah to the Obamas to,
Yeah.
they could go in any circle and be friends. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, those accusations about R. Kelly, I mean, he had been in and out of court. It wasn't like a secret. He had been in and out of court all the way leading up to this, all of a sudden, public display of what R. Kelly has done. Like, if we were really interested in saving Black little girls who were victimized by R. Kelly, then it would have been squashed decades ago when he was driving around Hyde Park picking up little girls at that McDonald's right there. You know that McDonald's. We've been there a bunch of times. Picking up little girls there. If we really cared about, those little girls who they did get used. If we really cared, we would have put an end to. He would have been locked up even back then when everybody knew what he was doing. So,
do you remember? Do you remember 20 years ago when you and I were just friends and we didn't know we were married 20 years later? And I called you about R. Kelly. Remember that? And I made up that little song where I took this edition, and I wish I could find it, but I changed the lyrics. And I called you, because I didn't have that many friends. And so you were one of my friends.
You made me think, Boyce. I was like, oh, he's right. But that's
it was all about him picking up little girls on the playground. And she's I think I said she counts with her fingers and toes, and she's this many years old. Right? Little kids go, and you go, how old are you? And they go, this many. I wish I could find it. If I could find it, I'd read it. But even back then, like 2003, 2004, I remember being just really shocked and kind of concerned that the Black community didn't care.
Then, you were saying, Alicia, stop listening to that music. And he had the #1 hit at the time. Like, God, I don't want to listen to that music. Dang, this is playing all the time on the radio. He was the guy, the man. Everybody knew. Everybody in Chicago knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is why I think some of these documentaries where they isolate one person, like he's the only one, I think that it's a bunch of BS, because all these guys, Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Hefner, Weinstein, and Epstein, had a lot of friends. They could go into any circle, hang out with any celebrity, and a lot of those celebrities partied with those guys all night long. Diddy, again, it goes all the way up to the White House. Every single one of these individuals, if I'm not mistaken, every one of these individuals has hung out with presidents of the United States. So I think that it's more like one of these things where, there's some inappropriate stuff happening, but I'm gonna tell you like this: if the conspiracy theorist in me wonders about if I categorize and sort them out, I take Diddy, Hefner, and Epstein, and based on their behavior, it would not surprise me if they did work for the government, because all three of those individuals did things that didn't make sense to me. Like, why would you just have a big house in a big place? Like Epstein had that island. Diddy had his house where people would just go in there and do God knows what. Hefner had the Playboy Mansion. Why would you have this place?
And they videotape. Right. So that tells you they're videotaping what's happening. Like,
I had this.
You're throwing a party. Okay, we're gonna have a party. We'll have a party for your birthday coming up. Like, can you imagine us inviting people over and ain't no party like a Diddy party? And I'm just videotaping everybody. Everybody gets videotaped. Like, what's the point of these parties?
Yeah, like how many of y'all in the chat? I mean, has anybody ever gone? How many of y'all go to parties to have sex? That's what's with. I don't get me. I know that stuff's out there, and you got the swinger culture and the sex parties and all. Yeah, that's real, and I'm not judging. But most of y'all don't go to a party expecting to just be sleeping with somebody in one of the bedrooms. Like, you go to a party and maybe you hang out, you have drinks, you talk, and then you go home and you sleep with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or wife. You don't, so the idea of that you're even having a sex party is foreign for most normal people. So the fact that Diddy, Hef, and Epstein created a special space, pay attention now, a special space where they said, we want you to just let go. Just come in and just like Wonka land, like a Disneyland for grown-ups, where you just come in here and do whatever you want. And then they got cameras set up. Oh, if that ain't a setup, I don't know what is.
Let me tell you something. There's a
ahead,
price for fame. And this system that puts you on top, it will chew you up and it will spit you out. And that's what happened to the black men who forget who and what they are and where they come from. And the fact that this system that doesn't need them anymore, they're done, they're useless at this point, and they're spitting them out. And it's rinse and repeat. It's rinse and repeat, boys. You know it is. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. I think I figured the formula out. Now I sent you a text today. Didn't I send you a text message today, boys? What did I? Don't be ignoring my text.
I don't remember which.
I sent you a text message, and I'm gonna tell you something. I think Cat Williams is on to something.
Oh Cat Lord, Williams not Cat Williams on. Again.
Huh?
I said, no, not Cat Williams again.
Cat Williams is on to something when he talked about how they marry these black men off to these, oh Lord.
I think he said light-skinned, funny-faced women or something.
Light-skinned, funny-faced women. And who is Eddie Murphy now dating? Some light-skinned, funny-faced woman.
Well, she's not light-skinned. She's Australian.
Well, whatever. That's what they do. And I mean, just these weird photos. There's a bunch. I've been sending them to you boys. And I'm like, what the
heck? Maybe. I don't know about that. But let me just say this. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
What?
I'm making predictions.
Out of all the 6 men, what's your prediction?
That's my prediction. That's the formula. That's to let you know.
I don't get it. What is the prediction? You're not predicting anything.
My prediction is we now know who the next people on the rise are going to be.
Who?
It's going to be one of these black men who are dating these women who are dating these women.
Eddie Murphy's a legend already. I don't understand what you're referencing. You're not making sense to me, babe.
I'm saying, listen with your ears, boys. These black men. Okay, so we just laid out the formula. How you're brought into the system. It's a ritual. You're brought into this system. Cat Williams talked about it in January. He started the new year talking about this. It's a ritual where these black men are getting married off to these white women or these high yellow. You know how he mentioned, what did he say, Boyce? You had it. You just said it.
He said light-skinned, funny-faced women that don't talk too much.
Yes. And that's what you see. And I gotta go. But anyway, that's what you see, and that's what we're seeing now. I think that's the new formula now. That's how we can now tell who the next people on the rise are gonna be. That's how we can identify them, because their whole life, Eddie Murphy's never dated a white woman his whole life. I mean, you don't really see him that much. And then all of a sudden, there's a rash of these black men who are just dating these that are.
I chalk it up to the fact that California guys don't like black women. That's what I think. I think it's most of the black women I know in California, they pretty much say that the black men avoid them, right? And that's and I would just say, but just going back, I don't know about what you refer, like you and Cat Williams can talk about that one, but I'll just say this. I think that when you talk about Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Hefner, Weinstein, and Epstein, you're talking about 6 guys who were invited into every circle, and they probably tainted a lot of people who are desperately working to make sure they're not affiliated with their relationship with these people. All these people, like I remember hearing stories about how R. Kelly would have Michael Jordan over to his house to play basketball. We know Diddy had everybody around. Cosby knew everybody. And so I think that this idea of kind of isolating people and saying these are the bad guys, everybody else is good, I don't think that that's accurate. I think that there are a lot of so-called bad guys, if you want to call it that. And I think that nuance is called for. So my summary on that would be that if you're going to talk about a different world, then you got to give some credit to Cosby. You can still hold him accountable for anything that you think he did wrong, but the man had a brilliant career. He did a lot of great things for the world, and I think he's going to have a great legacy in the black community. And I'm sick and tired of white people deciding, what the legacies of black people are going to be. Cosby went out into that world and they lifted him up, and the same people that lift you up can tear you down. But I don't think
he did a lot for black people too. So here's my theory. I'm going to lay out my theory here. Okay. I could be stretching it. Just as successful black women have to attach themselves to white men to get their good nigga sticker, for the lack of of a better term. So do black men. Black men,
Yeah.
it's not good. You're not going to see the rise of a black man and a black woman together in their system. That's what I'm
Typically
saying.
not.
You're not going to
Typically
get a
not.
rise. You're not going to get the rise. And I don't know how Denzel Washington has been able to. I think Denzel Washington, I don't know how he's been able to escape it. He's been pretty squeaky clean so far. But you're not, for the most part, this is my theory, and we can test out this theory. You're not going to see the rise of a black individual unless they're hitched on to somebody who's white. That's my theory.
I mean, I can see that, right? I look at it as like you're traveling down the road, and if you have a car, you can go further, and you can go faster. But it's still possible to travel without a car. You just have to walk a lot further, right? Like you do have a lot of really prominent black couples. LeBron and his wife, have done quite well. Samuel Jackson has a black wife. There are lots of black couples that get certain opportunities, but I do agree with you at the same time that when you send these signals, like you say, look, hey, my wife is white, or hey, I'm not really black, I'm African black, right? These little subtle differences that does open doors that you would not have if you are a pure African American couple. Like Ketanji Brown Jackson would not be on the Supreme Court if she were an African American woman with an African American husband, because I think white America knows just how much they owe us. And they know that if you are intelligent, conscious, and black, like James Baldwin said, you have to be full of rage. If you are African American and you are not angry about what they've taken from you, what they've done to you, he says basically something's wrong with you. Right. And so I really think that that's part of the reason why we're pushed out, because I think that there is an expectation we're going to have some anger. And truth is that we're supposed to be. When things like that are done to you, you're supposed to be mad about it. So shout out to the angry black people. I think that you have it right. Babe, I'll let you get the last word. Any final thoughts?
Well, that was my final thought. My theory that I lay out. We should do some more talks about this and to see, this is my model. And let's just pull the data in as we go along our little life, watching and observing and paying attention and using our critical thinking, our critical thinking brain. Let's see how the data fits this model.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
So we can have a show, Conspiracy Theories with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. How about that? All right. So I want to say thank you very much, babe, for hanging out with me. You can follow Alicia on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And her website also is coachingwithdralicia.com. So if you're looking for a good therapist, she can help you. I don't know how much space she has on her calendar. You're pretty busy, I know. But you guys can go check it out. She also has classes and workbooks and things like that. We're all about healing and making yourself healthy and having healthy relationships, and also about black people loving each other. That's what we believe in. That's what we like to do. And also, if you want to get free resources from Dr. Alicia, you can text the word love to 87948. Text love to 87948. We believe deeply in the strength of the black family as a key and critical element for black success and prosperity. So we don't hate anybody. I don't hate white folks. I have nothing against any other group, but I just love myself and love my people, love my family, and love my woman. And I ain't nothing wrong with that. And I ain't never gonna apologize. So they just be waiting for the apology. By the way, so tomorrow morning, don't forget, we also do economic awareness training where we help you to elevate economically. So if you are into economic elevation and you want to join us tomorrow morning, the class is totally free. We've trained millions of people on how to get your economics right. You know, my PhD's in finance. Just pull out your phone, text the word morning to 87948, and I will send you an invitation to join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We do this every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So text the word morning to 87948. Or if you live in another country and you can't do the text thing, just go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. And G Love says, shout out to Constance Carter. Yes, that is another person that we love. So thank you all for hanging out with us. We'll be back again soon. Make sure you subscribe and thumbs up and all that stuff so you'll be connected. And we'll let you guys know when we do another one of these talks. So take care. Love you. And thanks again, babe. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.